Well, hey, babe. It's Jamie. That's me here. Welcome back to my channel, honey. Let's go ahead and talk about this interview Darion had over there with LBB. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. All right, y'all. So if you've been watching Put a Ring on It, you know that Alexia and Darion were a part of the show, and it was a whole mess. Okay, they went on the show saying that they had been in a relationship with each other for about 14 years. He ended up having children outside of her, outside of the relationship that he was in with her. Then we heard that they were dating on and off. He went on to go on the show to date someone by the name of Kai multiple times. Okay, so much so that he ended up crossing the line with her, which Kai ended up airing out while they were at a closure dinner. Okay, we ended up getting to the reunion on last week, which was cool. You know, the reunion was pretty entertaining or whatever. Darion said a lot of flip-flopping things while in that interview about how he said marriage was never on the table with he and Lex, and then he turned around and said that he did want to marry Lex. He said he was going to tell her about Kai and everything, and Kai wasn't fully aware about the fact that he wanted to propose to Alexia and that she was a rebound. Kai looked like she was really upset because she was caught in the crossfire and everything. So we all know what happened with Alexia and Darion on that show, right? Well, recently there was a photo or video, shall I say, that came out of Alexia and Darion. It looked very recent, of them hanging out, smoking on cigars. I believe she was the one taking the video footage and everything. They're vibing out. So everybody hopped in the comments because they like, what is this, honey? What is going on? So then they went over to Alexia like, girl, you done got back with this man? Like, what is this mess? What's going on? She then comes out with a statement letting everybody know that she is single. This man is blocked. All that other stuff. Whatever we thought it was, it ain't. She ain't got nothing to do with him. Okay. Also, she's been promoting this Team Lex thing, and she's been promoting For the Love of Lex. I guess she's trying to get another show. So during this time, when all of this happened between, you know, Lexia and Darion on social media, it looks like he went and secured a interview with Little Black Book. During this interview, it was very long. He talked about a lot of things, you know, like from his past all the way up to his present. I didn't capture a whole lot from his past, although some of it was entertaining. And then, you know, as we got to the middle, I felt like I needed to fast forward to get to some other things, right? Excuse me. So I jotted down a few things that I want to mention to you guys that he said, okay? I may not have caught everything, but I jotted down what I could because the interview was definitely long. It was very long. But what I will say is that listening to him when he first started off talking, I was like, this guy ain't as stupid as a lot of us may think that he is. He seems like he has a good bit of sense, okay? At this point, I definitely feel gooped, and I do feel played just a little bit, okay, just a little bit, because I will say this, it did make for entertaining television, right? While the two were on the show, he kind of opened up about basically we all got scammed, okay? Whatever we thought it wasn't what it was. So let's go ahead and get into it. So he spoke on how he met Lex, and she was like a bartender in the club. That's kind of something that they said on the show about her being a bartender in the club, which is how they met. But he really connected with her because it really seemed like it was a bet amongst the friends when the dudes was like, oh, she looked good. He thought she looked good. And it was like, which one of us can pull her? He was like, I could pull her. Of course I could pull her because I'm from Field Mob. He said Field Mob a lot throughout this interview, but I guess when that's your primary claim to fame, for the most part, you know, and that probably for him was like the time of his life, he's going to, you know, continue to say that so people understand exactly who he is and his somewhat connection to the industry. Now, he goes on to speak on how Lex pretty much, he didn't say her name, but we kind of already knew because it was like how you and Lex came to be together. He was like, you know how like girls, you know, end up making you their boyfriend without you, you know, giving them permission, you know, without you going along or agreeing with them. She pretty much made me her boyfriend, even though I didn't make her my girlfriend. So that's kind of how they fell into it. He also talked about how he really dated her when they were when she was in college, but he stopped talking to her shortly after. So he didn't even know whether she graduated college or what happened. And it seems like she went on to go and play, you know, ball or whatever overseas. But I believe they've always stayed in contact with each other. But for him, he just felt like I need somebody that I have access to right now, like somebody that I can get to now. Like, you're too far away for me to have access to you. So Why would it even be a relationship? Like, girl, like, no. And I'm believing him when he says that. I'm sorry. Like, Darion came and did this interview, and a lot of things that he said kind of did make a bit of sense, right? Darion goes on to speak on how, I mentioned it, how he and Lex stopped talking for years, and then he tried to make, this is where I got a little confused though. He said that he didn't start talking to her until 1 month before put a ring on it. But then also it seems like he actually got in contact with her a year prior. So I don't know if he first started talking to her last year, and then they kind of probably fell off, and then he reconnected with her again like a month before, put a ring on it. So basically he says that he was down there in Florida. You know, he got his life kind of, shook up because, he had a person that was running for him, selling weed or whatever like that. The person ended up smashing his dad, and then they ended up falling out. And so they started running and doing their own weed and stuff, selling their weed, running here, one in there. They started being their own running men. And what ended up happening was they got caught. So he ended up doing some jail time or whatever. And then after that, he decided to relocate from Florida and come back to Atlanta, because he also wanted to get into the acting industry. So he felt like, hey, I'm familiar with Atlanta or whatever. What better place to do it? Let me go back, which makes sense about how he ended up securing a condo as well. So he ended up securing that condo when he came back to Atlanta, because I'm like, if you got a house with Lex, why are you over here having your own condo as well? Who approved that? How long did he have it? Some things that just didn't make sense. So he already had that condo, period. And the house that Lex has, he says that's her house. He don't even stay there. So much so that I believe they went and took pictures and put, got everything printed out or whatever and put those photos up. Any photos we saw around their house, it was fake. Okay, it wasn't genuine or anything like that. What else did I want to say? So let's scoot down. Darion says that he ran into Lex about a month before put a ring on it. I said that. He said that the 14 years was a lie, but they used that 14 years to make for a great storyline for put a ring on it. I was like, girl, what kind of shit? Y'all definitely, this was definitely a scheme that Todd came up with for y'all to come to us with the bullshit. For sure. He says that Lex was the one that suggested he do Love and Hip Hop. So when he got in the city, she hit him up like, yo, where you at? He was like, oh, I'm over here in my condo over here in Buckhead. So she pulls up on him. Mind you, when she pulls up, I believe the girl Georgie, he said, was at the house or something like that. So I think she ended up meeting the white girl or whatever. And this was the girl that I believe Kai kind of had an issue with. Not an issue with her, but more so an issue with him because the girl was at the house. And he also goes on to say that if he's been on and off with anybody for the past few years, it was not Lex. It will more so be Georgie. So this is the storyline. He used the storyline he has with her pretty much and applied it to he and Lex in order for both of them to get on the show. It seems like Lex may have had her own hidden agendas about her wanting to be to have some fame or act or be on TV as well. I guess he just didn't know that until later, because he felt as though she was helping him. And I'm like, nah, Lex bout was helping her damn self, okay? And that's what it seems like. What else went on? He says that, so when he ended up linking up with Lex was like, oh, okay, what about, would you do Love and Hip Hop? And he was like, yeah, I do Love and Hip Hop. She was like, bet, I know Jock. So they ended up linking up with Jock, catching up with Jock, chit-chatting and things like that, because that's something Smoke wanted. He was willing to be on Love and Hip Hop. But unfortunately or fortunately, I guess through them trying to scout for opportunities, this put a ring on it opportunity ended up, pretty much falling in their laps. So that's what they decided to do. They decided to move forward with the put a ring on it and create a storyline or whatever, so they can kind of like thrust themselves into the forefront. So he also spoke on how he did not like the OWN network. He always thought that the content on the OWN network was pretty whack. He goes on to say that when he got the opportunity or learned that he'll be a part of Put a Ring on It or whatever, he decided to go do his research, go back and watch the first season, and he felt like it was pretty bland. It was a one type of like one and you're done. It's not like you're gonna get any recurring seasons with this particular show. So when he was watching it, he felt like the only character he really liked on the first season was Hollywood. So I guess he took some notes from Hollywood, probably took a few notes from Mike or whatever, and here it is. He made sure he ingrained that into his season on Put a Ring on It. A whole mess, child. What else did this man say? He says that he and Lex were not a couple. Okay. He said he and Lex were not a couple and they were going in that direction though. He said they were going into that direction of being in a relationship until she got into it with his baby mama. That's what ended up happening. Got into it with the baby mama. But he also talked about how in the past he's lived with the white girl or whatever she is, the white girl and his baby mama. All of them stayed in one house. So he had like a polygamous type of relationship going on. So if that was the case and you were moving into a direction with Lex, my question is, was Lex privy to who that white girl was to you? And was she okay and willing to be a part of a polygamous relationship as well? That's what I was kind of wondering a little bit, or were you considering being all in with just Lex? So, because this is what he said. He was going in that direction of being in a relationship with her until she got into it with his baby mama. And once that happened, he was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to do, no, ma'am. That's not going down. He says that he went on the show to get exposure. That's the primary reason, of course. He went on the show to get exposure. I believe that Sean wants to be an actor, comedian, whatever. I think he too went on the show to get exposure. I could see Jessica wanting to be a part of the show for exposure. I feel like Eric may be a person that more so lays low, but I think he probably went on there for, Jessica. He says, now Darion says that the show went to SHI and says that things went wrong when they did not follow the original plan. Okay. He says that, that's the reason why he wanted to air out the truth, because they had a plan in mind, right? The plan was, once they accomplished what they needed, right? Do the show, right? Fake it till you make it. Act like we in a relationship. Okay. He ended up messing around with Kai, so the engagement and everything didn't really go in the direction of how he would have wanted it to go, because Kai ended up opening up her mouth, and I believe he said that Lex kind of got upset about Kai learning some details or whatever about things. And so what else did he say? He says that the reason he aired out the show or aired out the plan that they had was because once they've accomplished what they needed to accomplish with the show, it was time for them to move on. So like now that the show is over and we pretty much are the storylines of the show with a highlight of the show, all of that, I was supposed to, propose to you or whatever. It didn't happen on the show. Whoop, de whoop, de whoop. Now that it's over, and even though people think we've broken up, when he posted that video of them, it was supposed to come off as though they were in a relationship together, or they had just rekindled. That's what the plan was. That's why he posted that video. But she didn't want to go in that direction. He was supposed to act like they had got back together, and then shortly after that, he was going to propose to her outside of that, because he wanted to continue to carry that. He wanted the attention to continue to grow about them. All right. And probably in hopes of landing on another show together, hopping on another show. But Lex didn't want to do that. So she effed up the plan, right? According to him, he says that she didn't want to move forward because she started having all these other interviews lined up. And I guess she already had, I don't know what Lex had. She probably had her answers to the interview questions down pat. And had she got back with him, they would have pried a little bit more, and it probably would have blew things up or something. I don't know what the hell was going on in Lex's head as to why she chose to move forward outside of the plan that they originally had together. He said that she was like, no, I got a lot of interviews lined up. I don't want to do that anymore. I have Team Lex, is what Darion is saying. That she said, what else? And I'm focusing on this love for Lex thing. So she's trying to get some momentum behind that in hopes of getting on another show. Let me tell you something. For me personally, that shit dead as hell. Lex is not entertaining enough for me for her to be on a part of any show. Okay. Unless she is linked to somebody else that's a nut. Like if it's not Darion or another nut like Darion, like, it's not giving for me. I feel like before we do a love for Lex, there are a line of women before her that should get their own show. Okay. We still over here wondering about Ashley and Kwame from first season. Can Ashley get her own show first? Okay. So I'm just not necessarily seeing it. I feel like it's, like I said, a long list of people, child. We got individuals from Ready to Love that things didn't pan out for them. I'd rather see a love for whoever on that show. What was her name? Tondi, when Tondi was dating Mario over there on Ready to Love, and he ended up getting with other girl. It started with 4 letters. I can't even think of her name, but he ended up getting with her And it's like, let Tondi get her for the love of Tondi. Why she ain't got no show? Because she was damn sure done wrong. Like, girl, we got a host of other individuals that came before you for us to be interested in a love for Lex. That's dead, canceled, good night, goodbye. And I hate to say it, I'd probably rather sit up here and watch Kai. I feel like Kai got more personality and entertaining to me than to sit up here and watch Lex. But those are just, my thoughts on him. What else is going on? He says that all of their friends knew about this fake storyline. All of the friends, family, parents, everybody knew about it because I think her dad was the one to assist with putting the pictures in the frame or taking them to Kinko's, wherever they went, child, to get the stuff. What else ended up happening? He said he released the video because it was time for them to come out and pretty much, as a couple, so they could move forward in the direction of being proposed to, engaged, and all that other stuff. But again, like I said, she did not want to go down that road. She's focused on trying to see how far she could get things with her, and everybody not that really interested. He says that he didn't want it to, like, I guess, like the attention or the flame to burn out, and I feel like she should have stuck with him. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts, but I'm like, if you trying to go further, y'all probably came out better sticking to his plan of let's act like we're engaged. It's gonna make everybody be up in arms. It's gonna make us complain. It's gonna make us drag you and all this extra stuff and da. You did all that and you went back to him and blah. And then now y'all could have been a fake item and could have went over there and probably joined some kind of way to be a part of two things. Probably one, being over there on Love and Hip Hop in some capacity, Miami or this one, however y'all could have made it work, or y'all could have even potentially been a couple that went on to do marriage boot camp or whatever, right? So I feel like it was better to stick with him, but now she's trying to ride her own wave, and I just don't think she has enough fans for that. Like, I just don't see that going anywhere. So when he said that something about the flame burning out or it was gonna die down or something like that, he was right. What else ended up happening? He also speaks on Kai being a tool. She was a tool used in this mess. The question was asked, do you regret using her as a tool in this or whatnot? And he says no, because he didn't feel sorry for using her at all or for her being caught up in this mess because of her antics and the things that she's done on social media. Like, I think she wrote on his car and stuff when she caught the white girl there or whatever. But he said it wasn't that big of a deal or something because he ended up wiping the car off like it was like dry erase or some crap. But all in all, he's talking about he don't feel sorry. Okay. He said she was spinning this whole narrative about the condo not being his, but he really did not confirm, in my opinion. He didn't do anything to reassure people that the condo is his. Girl, listen, whatever it is yours. You living in it, honey. If they all right, then I guess we're gonna have to be okay. All right. Listen, it sounds like I was telling the truth because he really didn't clear that up. But for the most part, a lot of the stuff he said did make sense. Another thing he went on to say was when Kai was sitting up there talking about him doing drugs. Ooh, she didn't open her mouth and talk about how she was doing it too. This is what Darion said. Okay, I didn't say this. All right, this is what came out of this man's mouth and said that that's what this girl was doing supposedly. Okay. So I thought that was a whole mess. So that's what was going on. And I have to say, like I told y'all, Darion was definitely at times he was overacting on that show. And I thought that he was a weirdo, right? But when this man sat up in this interview, for the most part, I could definitely see that he's long-winded. He goes on a tangent. It seems like he got so much of his story that he wants to tell, but it seems like I can't tell you this unless I tell you this because I need you to connect it so it all can make sense, right? But we just didn't have that type of time for all of that. But when I saw him up there talking, I was like, this man ain't stupid. Right. And for some reason, ironically, shockingly, I believe what he said. Majority, if not all, I believe majority of what he said about Miss Girl in this situation. She done got her a little bit of fame. Now she's trying to go out here and have her Team Lex supporters. She's trying to go ahead and get her love for Lex. But I got to hear, though, I need y'all to tell me, would you watch a For the Love of Lex show? Like, that would have to be hella entertaining, girl. It'll have to be hella entertaining. Now, it might end up on Zeus, which ain't a bad thing if you wanted to go over there and try and market something. But I don't really see it being on. No, ma'am. And now that this storyline has been blown up to SHI, girl, you really shouldn't even be awarded no damn show. But, that's just me. What else did I want to say about this situation with Lex? I have not seen her come out and say anything. I haven't seen it. Now I saw when he came out and when he posted that video of her, she made sure she came out a few hours later or however long later to let everybody know that it ain't what we think it is and that he's blocked and all this other extra stuff. Okay. But when he blew up your mother spot, girl, I haven't seen you come out and say anything or speak a word. So I'm going to go with Darion on this. I am going to move forward in the direction of believing majority of what it is that he had to say. And in the meantime, I want you guys to let me know your thoughts and comments down below on this interview and whether you believe he was telling the truth about the 14-year situation and them not being together the entire time at all, that she was never his girl, but then she made him her man. Y'all leave y'all thoughts and comments down below. Again, if you could see a Lex, if you could see a For the Love of Lex, just go ahead and just comment down below on everything I had to say about this interview that Darion did. I'm Jamie, that's me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my videos, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.